Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pull Up Tray podcast. We are a podcast covering the Toronto Raptors. We are one of Canada's favorites talking basketball, and they are 3-4 on the upswing. Trey, the co host, the Trevon Heath, the Trey that pulls up. I had to stop yelling it because my mic clips out because I have like an echo cancellation thing.
Okay.
I'm Samson Folk as well. Trey, how you doing, man?
I'm, I'm, I'm glad this pod was a couple days removed from the most gut wrenching sports experience I've ever seen in my life. I know we didn't watch Game 7 together. We watched Game 6, but to be 2 outs away, even my fiance was telling me like you let out a sad yell. It wasn't even a regular sports yell
Yep.
when Hoffman gave up the home run. It was just agony. Oh, it was
Yep.
crazy.
I'm sure everybody listening is so there's a funny story. We were waiting to talk to maybe CMB after last night's game. And Michael Grange, you know how when you're in public and you go to click a video and it plays at full volume?
Yeah.
Michael Grange, amongst all these people who had been alluding to the heartbreak, played some broadcast call of the Dodgers winning just on full blast in the room. It was it was so funny. But the game was good. It was a good
It's
Raptors game.
incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say on the docket for this podcast, Trey and I will be discussing the Raptors' trip into the top 10 in offensive efficiency. We'll also be discussing the matchup against the Bucks. We have to kind of jostle things a little bit with a little bit more intention with the two podcasts this year. And we'll be talking about the top of the East, which is our first topic. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hype, all that great stuff. As we said, we are one of Canada's favorite basketball podcasts, but we want more. We want to be number one. Thank you for tuning in with us. Trey, we are recording this during/before the big slate of games. The class of the East right now is the Philadelphia 76ers at 5-1, led largely by Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. Boop, boop, boop. Chicago Bulls at 5-1. The Milwaukee Bucks, I suspect, will beat the Pacers and be 5-2. The Detroit Pistons, I suspect, will beat the Grizzlies to become 5-2. That is the class of the East. Are you shocked, dismayed, disappointed by how this conference has turned out so far?
I think the biggest surprise was the Sixers because of how they're being led. If you told me Embiid was totally fine and they went 5-1, that'd be okay. But VJ Edgecombe looks like Dwayne Wade
Mm-hmm.
as a rookie, which is incredible. Like they're set up so well, set up so nicely, and like they're at a point like whatever Joel does is like gravy on top of whatever they're doing. Like the Bulls are kind of nice and frisky as well. Like Josh Giddey looks like Magic Johnson. I know it's like
Okay. Oh, that's yeah.
hey, hey, the numbers, man. You don't know how Magic would have translated to the league.
That's great. Okay, Josh Giddey's magic. Keep cooking. Keep cooking.
Yeah. So it's 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 odd in the sense I thought the Raptors would probably be a bit more competitive in there, like kind of punch up a bit. But I think if you look at the schedule and you're like they're going to be 3-4 in the first 7 games, like it's not terrible. It doesn't change your trajectory on how you feel about them towards the end of the season, and they're eventually going to start playing some easier teams. So I think they can beat up on easier teams and salvage like a respectable record against 500 teams. And like tomorrow's going to be a great test.
It's been interesting because if you look back at their wins and losses, you probably only have a right to be really upset about the Dallas game. The Bucks, while I think the Raptors should have won that game, and you and I will
Hmm.
discuss maybe why I think they can win today as of the listener. But the Bucks, what's become really clear after doing a deep dive into them is that while they don't have as much talent as they've had in past years, they've definitely built the team for Giannis and to really get the most out of what he's doing, even if the numbers from certain areas don't look that great. The Pistons, doing about what they thought they would. The big thing is that the Knicks are 3-3,
Yeah.
Orlando's 3-4. The Pacers I thought would be more frisky, but their team blew up upon arrival of the season. Mathurin, Nemhart, like everybody down the line got injured. The Bulls, Billy Donovan has always been able, in my
Yeah.
mind, to coach his team up
Hmm.
defensively, and they have had that buy-in since they kind of hit the eject button on their former stars, and they play fast. They screen a lot. They're always moving to the next action. They attack gaps and they're shooting the ball well. And apparently they have Magic Johnson on the team too, and that doesn't hurt
and
a
and they've
lick.
gotten nothing from their rookie
Yep.
in the first 7 games. So like this isn't even like a new injection of talent that's increased their team. They've just been playing better.
Yeah, that's last week's topic, which we were talking about, is that
Mm,
rookies, a lot of them are leaving indelible marks on team
mm.
success early on, which the Raptors are now feeling a little bit. But also, I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers. But Noah Senge, we didn't like him that much in our draft,
Yeah.
but he's so young.
Yeah, of
He
course.
has so much time to figure it out, and I hope he does. So the Raptors at 3-4, the Bucks probably, I'm gonna guess, gonna be at 5-2, playing on the second night of a back to back. Here is the interesting thing about the Bucks. They're probably going to be 5-2. And I still think that the Raptors can win. Jakob
Yeah.
Poeltl was announced as questionable for that game. I'm gonna get just your feel on the precipice of it on the eve of the game. Do you feel good or bad?
I feel good. Just the adjustments that they've made over the past like couple games have fit sort of has helped limit some of the difficulties they've had as a team. They're helping a lot more. CMB and Scotty have worked together in a way that I didn't imagine this soon, and they cover ground much better because they're not as aggressive, both doubling and in terms of how high they pick up. Giannis is a completely different story, but I tweeted this out a few days ago. Jakob shouldn't be playing unless he's 100% because if he's an immobile big, it doesn't create any rim deterrence at all. I'd much rather have CMB's ability to use his instincts, gain ground, use his hands, and like he he was throwing around Triple J. He might have some success against Giannis. Like he's tough and he's strong, so I wouldn't have an issue of sitting Jakob out another game.
There's a Miles Turner thing that's really important for this looming matchup. But as far as it goes, if Jakob is playing roughly the way that he was in his first couple games, then I think a handful of, whether it's Scotty, CMB, Mobo, Mamu, and whoever else steps in there to foul and send Giannis to the line and to show what size they can, that's probably going to be more effective in this upcoming matchup than if Jakob comes back and is similar to where he was at. He couldn't bend. You could
Yeah.
see he just was not really bending. His feet were slower as a result, and he just didn't have it. I'm going to say this in regards to the Raptors. I've talked to this a little bit. You and I have discussed it a little bit. The
Mhm.
numbers are still calcifying. We're early on in the season. The Raptors are bottom 4 in low pressure volume. And that means that and this is per synergy. So if the numbers aren't tracked as correctly as, let's say, Second Spectrum does, my apologies, but synergy has a lot of stats and they're interesting. Per synergy, the Raptors are bottom 4 in low pressure defense volume. Trey, where do you think they rank in efficiency? So they rarely ever play low pressure defense.
Yeah.
How do you think they're doing when they play it?
I would say a lot of that's been recent and with CMB. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna say top half of the league.
How about top 3, brother? They are
Wow.
top 3. So basically, when they play low pressure, it's been going exceptionally well for them. They are, however, registering the most high pressure defensive
Yep.
possessions via synergy, and they are 26th in
Yep.
defensive efficiency.
Makes
Now,
sense.
the other top 3 teams, Portland and Cleveland, are 15th and 4th, respectively. So the Raptors are playing defensively, seemingly not to their strengths, which is interesting. And of course, it's far too early to declare all these things as certain,
Mhm.
but these are interesting markers that when the Raptors get off the gas pedal a little bit, let the offense come to them, it's going really well. When they go put their foot on the pedal and like motor, it's going really poorly.
Yep.
Much to consider. The Bucks, though, I mean, and credit to Ryan Rollins, who's been
Incredible.
incredible. I'll lay out what the Bucks are doing in my mind, but what have you noticed watching Giannis and Co so far this season?
I think the interesting thing, they're obviously like less talented. Like Damian Lillard, it's hard to replace. I know they're replacing with Miles Turner, but for a lot of money. But they're as a team, they fit significantly better. Like Giannis has always fit better in like four out, one in situations. It allows him to get easier driving lanes.
Mhm.
Him and both Dame, like weren't the greatest tag team partners just because Giannis, as a roller, doesn't have the commitment or it isn't his strength. He was operating as the ball handler for a team for several years. That this current team puts him in a situation where he's around tons of other shooters, 1 through 5, and allows him to get downhill and score it well. And those guys are hitting shots at a crazy rate. Gary Trent Jr. is back to being Gary Beal, and it's super valuable in a situation like this.
So I'll illustrate your point with some numbers. So Giannis is the guy who scores in the paint for the Bucks. It doesn't really happen elsewhere. So their role men this year, as you said, 4 out, 1 in. Great point. And Giannis is that one.
Yeah.
Their role man this year, and of course this doesn't count for tonight's game, which is ongoing. Miles Turner is 5 of 11 as a roller. This includes popping as well. Bobby Portis is 9 of 18. 10 of Miles' attempts are long jumpers, either 2 pointers or 3 pointers. Bobby Portis, 9 of his 18, 8 of those are triples, and he hit 4 of them. The bulk of their efficient offense, and the Bucks actually points per possession have the most efficient offense in the NBA right now. You have AJ Green who's shooting like 70% true shooting. Gary's at like 60. Giannis is well above 60. He's probably close to 70. Ryan Rollins is above 60. And Portis is doing pretty good. Miles Turner has been dreadful, but he fits the scheme. What is clear when I was watching back a lot of these possessions that the Bucks are using to score out of the pick and roll is that they're running Miles in a lot of these two screener actions. And when we think about like shallow 77 for the Raptors, which is a double drag where Emmanuel Quickly is often the bottom screener or Grady Dick, and they cut away from the play to create a driving lane for a guy like Scotty. What the Bucks do is they put two shooters in Miles Turner and AJ Green, and they spread them upon the screen contact so that you're kind of parting the
Yeah.
seas and requiring both defenders to vacate the lane. This for Ryan Rollins or Giannis Antetokounmpo is great, and these guys are feasting and making a killing as drivers. What is clear, and when I was covering the Pacers versus the Bucks last year, where AJ Green was situated on the court was everything for what the Bucks wanted to do offensively to create room, create space for Giannis. It still applies this year. AJ Green is really closely tied to the success of their on ball actions. Gary Trent Jr. is really closely tied to the success of their on ball actions. And they're just asking Miles Turner and Bobby Portis on top of that to hit some threes over the top to facilitate this. And Giannis is a superhero wearing, a basketball jersey. And that's where we find ourselves. How do you feel about the Raptors' ability to guard those types of actions? I guess we can think of it with Yak or otherwise.
With Jakob, I think it's a real challenge, and you saw that in the first few games. He just isn't unable, he wasn't able to move and actually cover ground, and that might be some of their why some of they were more aggressive than usual. I think with C and B at the 5, I think it's fairly doable. Both him and Scotty can cover tons of ground. If you're playing less aggressively and you can funnel guys towards them as well, like they have the instincts to jump ahead of the play and make defensive plays in that sense. Both him and Scotty, whether it was dump off to the big, hit to the corner, they're both able to get there and make plays and create steals, create blocks, and that gets guys into transition. Giannis is obviously a much different task than than Jaren Jackson Jr., but still think those guys together will be able to create enough resistance, especially have him pick up the ball, and make things more difficult for him to kick out from three. Because that's the reason why they lost the last time, because they weren't able to stop Giannis at the rim and they had to oversell and they hit tons of threes, and which closed out the game.
The big thing here, so as far as the percent of his field goal attempts, Miles Turner coming into the game he's playing tonight, basically 20% is below the free throw line. He's just not operating there. He's Miles
Hmm.
Turner is a theory player for the Bucks. He is there to facilitate
Yep.
space and he's there to make teams believe that he can shoot the three. He's not shooting it very well right now. But this gives the Raptors who want to front Giannis and are going to defend differently from the outset if it isn't Jakob an opportunity to turn what is probably a relative weakness against a team like the Rockets, who beat the hell out of them with the offensive rebound, into perhaps a strength in court coverage when it comes to tracking all of Miles Turner above the break, AJ Green above the break, Gary Trent Jr. above the break, and maybe Torian Prince gets parked in the corner, and then also being to stick on Ryan Rollins. I wonder how all of this goes, but the Raptors, in my mind, aren't in a terrible position to guard these types of actions, but it does require them to be well connected, which they have been and looked probably the best they have against the Grizzlies. There's room to win against the Bucks, who would probably be a 5-2 team tomorrow. How do you feel about it?
I think it's like fairly winnable. They were in the game despite being atrocious defensively that
Mhm.
entire week. So with the added like jolt in defense that you get with CMB and having both of those guys offer Giannis like some resistance, I'm not as worried about the kickouts to the corner that Giannis does at such a high level because of their court coverage. They should be able to get in transition a lot too, just because again they shoot tons of threes that create long rebounds and that can get guys into breaks. The Raptors love to do hit aheads, and they should be able to get into their offense before the Bucks are set, as long as they get great misses. So I like their chances today.
So there's one more thing on this matchup. The Raptors are shooting the sixth most open threes per their percentage of their shots this season in the NBA. So a lot of the threes that they do take are wide open, I should say. And why that is happening is because they're being forced to take a lot of prove it threes. They have played a lot of huge teams that wanted to park in the paint. We don't even
Yeah.
have to go over it. The roaming through the land of the Giants was not kind to the Raptors. And guys like Scotty, CMB, and RJ to a lesser degree, but still to some, have combined to shoot 34 of 80, 42.5% from downtown this season. They will be in another prove it game
Yep.
against the Bucks. They I don't know if this is going to change over the course of the season or if teams are just going to be like, "Yeah, we don't need 20 games of Scotty shooting well. We need 82. We don't need 20 games of RJ shooting well. We need 82." I think it'll be probably closer to that, but how do
Mhm.
you think how do you feel about them going into or I guess it's here, but Milwaukee coming in and them shooting over the top in this game?
It's I don't love Scotty shooting as many threes as he has been, but he's hitting the shots, so I can't really complain. He I still think overall, like his process has been good, and when he's been giving the lane, he still is going inside and is scoring. So if the Bucks force them to shoot threes, I'm totally okay with them taking shots, especially a guy like RJ. RJ showed now over a long period of time if he gets a catch and shoot look, it's a quality offensive look for the offense, and Ingram will be able to create anything out of any spot from what we've seen within the mid range or from three. So I think overall, it's in the lineups that they're playing. It's just a microcosm of the guys that they have together. So they're going to have to continue to keep doing this.
I'm really interested to see it. And lastly, the most important thing I think for this game is how the Raptors stay connected on the back line of the defense when they double Giannis. It was
Yep.
disastrous when we saw it in the second game of the season. It went really poorly, and then they gave up a whole pack of screen rejects and point of attack breakdowns to the likes of Ryan Rollins, and most importantly, in that fourth quarter, Cole Anthony. Yesterday, I asked Darko and I were talking about ball pressure. I've been asking everybody, every coach that comes through about ball pressure. And I was asking him if teams were better at it, at responding to it on offense this year than last year, since teams have seen so much of it. And he said, yeah, to some degree when we lose the thread. And he's right. The Raptors, when they go ball pressure to transition, they're terrible. When they go ball pressure to half court, it's not so bad. But as we discussed, the high pressure defense hasn't worked out so well for them. But when I asked him, he brought up Indiana, and I don't know if Darko knows how closely tied I am to Indiana and how I covered and wrote about it in January. But he said in January, the Pacers started playing ball pressure defense and it changed their whole season. I said, well, Darko, I wrote that piece actually in January of last year. It was when Andrew Nemhard returned. Do you think there's an Andrew Nemhard on the roster? And I thought it was very interesting that after so much training camp, preseason, of clanging the bells for Emmanuel Quickley's ball pressure defense. He said Jamal Shed. He said Chucky Hepburn. He said Jacoby Walter. He said Ochai Abaji. He did not say Emmanuel Quickley. And I thought that was interesting that he lost his spot there. By the way, we're supposed to have an Emmanuel Quickley interview at some point in the next week or so. We're supposed to save the Tuesday episode with an Emmanuel, but he's supposed to. We're supposed to have something soon for listeners, so stay tuned for that. But I mean, it's tough to get athletes on podcasts and stuff when they're not playing so well. Fred
Yeah.
VanVleet is the only guy who ever actually did it well, where he went on JJ's podcast and was
Yeah.
like, "They're not doing it right, man. They're not treating me right," you know? Do you wanna talk offense?
Yeah, let's light up the day.
Okay, so the Raptors are the ninth ranked offense in the NBA. They are the 11th ranked half court offense. And so I'll give four quick stats, which we can dive into. RJ Barrett shooting 73% at the rim. Brandon Ingram is shooting 60% on pull up middies and 43% on his catch and shoot triples. Scotty Barnes is scoring as a roll man 3 times more than last season. And Colin Murray Boyles is dunking nearly twice as often in the NBA as he did in college. They are doing this while sustaining 28% three-point shooting from Emmanuel Quickley, 29% shooting from Grady Dick from three, 9% from Ochai Abaji from three, and 22% from Jacoby Walter from three. Of course, Jamison Battle is currently at 83%. Do you want to bite into this? Which apple of those do you want to bite into?
I'm gonna go with RJ Barrett again. He's offensively again. His process is perfect. He is willing to both operate as the cutter in tons of actions. They throw him the ball second side, and he's able to create from there. Utilize his body, utilize his left hand, and in transition as well. He puts his head down. He gets to the line and creates easy points for the team. And he's like been their most reliable catch and shoot shooter, which is crazy to say. If you told me that Emmanuel Quickly to start the season would be shooting worse than RJ Barrett, I would say we've lost all of these games. But he he doesn't ever play outside of himself, and having a guy like Ingram, which doesn't force him to take tons of pull-ups, he's been put in the most optimal position for him, and his offense in a sense has become irreplaceable in the team, just given how hard they when he isn't on the court to get rim attempts in the half court, he's able to create against any secondary guy that's on him, which is honestly great to see because you could tell he loves the team, he loves being here, and he kind of alluded to that today and like his journey. So it was awesome.
He had really good quotes regarding wanting to stay there. The one was in response to a question I asked, and it was because Darko brought it up kind of unprompted about how RJ expressed to him how badly he wanted to, quote, make it work. I thought that was interesting language used. And I think it speaks to RJ knowing probably his position or his reputation in the league.
Mhm.
And RJ, since he's come over, has been incredibly adaptable. He's also 39% on catch and shoot threes right now. That's pretty good. I'm going to check where is he on above the break threes because that's obviously most important. Yeah, 32%, which is perfectly fine. It would be a little bit better. You can take away a couple pull up threes from there, but he's done his job. You laid
Yep.
out why he's been able to score at the rim. Does it remind you at all of when Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes were on top of the offense and RJ was fitting in? Do you see similarities between now and then?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like RJ was able to be be this play finisher outside of any actions that those guys were creating. He cuts. He has the short little push shot. He's able to get to the rim if you get him bowling down in a curved action. He it can be the ball handler in transition. He's done everything that you could have asked for. If he continues this play, you're looking at I know I've hammered that he's the person that's probably going to get traded in the deadline. He's making himself undeniable here where you need to figure out how else do you make this work for their tax situation, which is exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, make the decision harder.
Yep.
Make the organization reevaluate how they have evaluated you. I mean,
Yes.
God, Kyle Lowry did that about what 4 times as a
Yeah.
Toronto Raptor. They're like, "Yeah, go to the Wolves." And then Jeff Teague signed there, and then they're like, "Well, we'll take you back." Like, this guy, Kyle Lowry, think about what we know now.
Yeah.
Even the best front offices can miss on players, and I'm not suggesting the Raptors are currently missing on RJ. I don't know, but there's he's done well. He's had a great start to the season. I'm proud of him for that
Yes.
perspective. Scotty Barnes, like the Brandon stuff is not so interesting. He's a very
Yeah.
strong shot maker. He affects RJ. He's part of why RJ's more efficient. He affects Scotty in this role we're about to discuss. If you want more stuff on the specifics of Scotty's screening, uh, myself and Lewis actually did probably like 10 minutes on it with film in the last Saturday episode. But Trey, three times as many pick and roll possessions finishing for Scotty Barnes. Are you hooting and hollering? Is this what you like to see?
This is what I prayed for last year. he's he's while he hasn't stopped taking threes, he's getting inside. He's been an active pick and roll player. He is playing against some of the biggest teams in the league, and one of the, I guess, criticisms last season was that the size of the teams kind of affected how many shots that he took inside the paint, and that hasn't really been the case. Even the threes that he's getting, he isn't taking a lot of. Most of the threes are standstill. He isn't taking a lot of shots off movement, and when he does, it's from mid range, which, well, although it hasn't necessarily panned out the same way as it did last year, it's a shot that he's shown that he's been able to make. And I think one of the cool things you saw in the Memphis game. I know early on in the season, or it's only 7 games, but he operated a lot more as the play finisher within transition. The Raptors' transition offense was still a little shaky in between. In the Memphis game, you saw that he was the ball handler in a lot of those situations, and that's when they started creating a lot of easy opportunities, a lot of easy dunks. Ochai scored several points just being the outlet in terms of that. RJ as well. So you're seeing how his strengths can kind of adapt within the team and how malleable he is and versatile, both defensively and offensively. So from those three guys, it is the absolute perfect start offensively.
Yeah, it's been impressive because I don't think many people thought this Raptors team would be, top 10 on offense this early in the season. I'm glad to see it. I'll be a great sight gladder once the defense starts ticking up.
Mhm.
And there's reasons to believe that the defense might be able to tick upwards. They've already started tinkering with it, and even in Darko's quotes publicly, he's been talking about like, well, the pressure maybe was a bit too much, and there's all these other reasons for it. They're trying to inform decision making, but it's time to make the adjustments. As you said, Scotty not having the best time with his pull up midi. He's 4 of 12 on those so far this season for 25%. It helps if you're 7 of 11 on pull up threes, though. Your
Yeah.
pull up efficiency goes to the moon. Not a lot of these are contested. These are just getting to the line,
Mhm.
putting it up, being an NBA player who can put a shot in the bucket. Yeah. RJ shooting 39% on his catch and shoot threes. I'm pretty sure CMB is at like 46%. Scotty just shy of 50. It's they're hitting shots that they have to right now. They got to defend a little better. But Scotty, the big thing with this rolling thing is his drives last year was at about 10.2 per game. This year, guess his drives per game. I'm really curious. And catching on the roll doesn't count as a drive. Remember that.
Gotcha.
Neither does transition.
Mm. Oh, it might be relatively the same then. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 12 a game.
5.
Wow.
His drives in the half court have been halved. And keep in mind, he is scoring a career high currently, and his
Yeah, for real.
drives have been halved because his rim frequency is up. Think about
Mhm.
that, right? Scotty Barnes, his drives halved, rim frequency up, rim efficiency up. This team does not need another Brandon Ingram. It does not need another RJ Barrett. It needs someone who can facilitate as a roller, as a finisher to reward these types of plays. And I don't know if it's going to be exactly the same when Jakob comes back. It's going to be tough for Scotty to occupy these roles the same way, which I'm a little disappointed by. And the Raptors will have things to figure out. But Scotty has done a tremendous job of stepping into that role and supplementing his rim pressure more off the catch and in transition as a run out guy than in the past. That's an incredible stat, right?
Yeah.
Drives are halved, rim frequency goes up. That's just proper usage. That's offensive archetype and economics and structure.
He's been put in the situations that best utilize his strength, like within the role, like, especially if he catches it with space in between. He's so dangerous as a passer that it's created so much for the offense. And CMB is getting tons of dunks because teams don't know what to do when Scotty has the ball and is barreling downhill off a roll. So he's he just needs to do exactly what he's doing for the rest of the season. In terms of usage, in terms of the way he's playing, it's been ideal. Like, the shooting obviously will normalize to some degree, but that probably means the midi will, to some degree, will actualize also. So it should balance itself out.
Okay. And also, speaking of shooting normalizing to some degree, like the Raptors on the whole are a 39% 3-point shooting team, which is great. Scotty isn't going to shoot 47% forever. Colin's not going to shoot 46% forever. Brandon and RJ at 39 and 37 respectively. I believe it. Sandro at 45, Jamal at 50. I don't know if I believe it to that degree, but they have a lot of catching up to do, as we mentioned the numbers before with Jacoby, Ochai, Grady, and Emmanuel. Do you have a sense? Do you see a guy, if you could pluck one out and say it will trend well right away? Can you put on the prediction cap for me?
G- Grady Dick has to shoot better.
Yeah.
It just has to. He's too accomplished as a shooter from high school, from Kansas. We've spent hours talking about how he's this incredible shooter. Like, you've seen it in the mid range and still within his shot creation. His shooting shines. He's hitting tons of contested jumpers from mid range this season. His 3-point shot should improve. It just simply has to. He's too good for it not to happen.
The thing that makes me a little bit sad, right, is that Grady's basically he has some wide open shots, and his points per shot percentile is the 96th percentile. So when Grady is wide open on a catch and shoot, he's shooting 67%. He's shooting 100% on his open threes. I think he only has one attempt right now. Contested threes, he's shooting 33%, and tightly contested, he's shooting 0%. He, similar to last season, the easy stuff, it goes in, but I put the clips out on, social. The attention he gets means, listen, man, you just don't get those shots. And if
Yep.
we can use a Bucks player as an equivalence, AJ Green, who's much older, who is much more developed physically, but AJ Green at 70% true shooting, AJ Green is a guy who takes tough shots. And Giannis definitely creates bigger, more wide open shots than
Yeah.
anybody on the Raptors is capable. But AJ Green does his thing, hits tough shots, and helps the structure of the offense. There's no question that when Grady is out there, he really helps the structure of the offense.
Hmm.
His gravity is immense, and the Raptors like putting him in the action so he can drag and pull. But if you have that type of gravity, if teams care that much, you get to benefit your teammates, yes, but it also means if you're going to shoot, they're going to be contested. And if he were only taking the wide open shots, he'd be taking like 2 shots a game at 15 or 16 minutes per game. It would be insane.
Yeah.
The Raptors aren't sure how to utilize him just yet. They're waiting on the dribble jumper stuff to come around. He hasn't been able to pressure the rim very much this year at all. The last game against the Grizzlies, I thought Grady was good, but that's his second best game of the season.
Yeah.
And he was just merely good. And I like players who are good most games. And
Yeah. Let's
that's a great baseline when guys are good most games. And if that game against the Grizzlies became kind of his baseline, then I'm like, okay, we'll see what the great games look like.
mhm.
But it's been very hit or miss so far. And Grady obviously is the guy, the pedigree is supposed to be there. Ochai, it's supposed to be there to some degree too. But it is also interesting that like Grady got big run and did well with it. They're winning his minutes, but they also win Jamison battles, and he scored 20 points on 7-7 shooting, and didn't get a lick, didn't play at all.
Crazy.
Before we get out of here, I'd like to know, Jamison not getting any run. How do you feel?
It's insanity. He won them a game basically by being the greatest shooter alive, and then not to play. similar to Grady, like he makes lineups make sense because it allows everyone else to be able to pressure the rim because Jamison Battle wide open is might as well be a layup at this point. He's just that type of shooter. I I wonder where like how he can crack the rotation. That's probably him being able to play up to his size and play larger players so he can stay on the floor. And the Raptors just toning down their aggression, but he's guys in the bench from Grady to all the way to Jacoby Walter, like haven't earned the right to kick anyone out from the rotation. I think it's still a fight to figure out who is gonna get these guaranteed minutes.
It is kind of crazy to see something work in real time because last season we were like, well, Ochai is the outlet guy. And
Yeah.
Ochai has this very efficient scoring diet because he takes all the easy shots on the floor. And now, because Brandon Ingram comes in and everyone gets bumped down, Ochai doesn't get easy shots and it falls off a cliff. Like
Yep.
everything falls off a cliff. He's basically not shooting in the half court. He fundamentally only shoots out in transition and like if he's wide open. And Jacoby, I think Jacoby has done a pretty good job of moving the ball on, but he hasn't been able to shoot a lick.
No.
We're a long way removed from 26 points on what like 16 shots summer league. I remember that game. That was when Goose they tried to kill our boy because of the 26 points in summer league. They tried to kill him.
Oh man.
But as you said, Jameson, a lineup chemist. I think Jakob's return will dictate that Jameson again, if Grady performs, if Ochai performs, then Jameson probably it's not there. But as long as those guys keep being, and they've both been mediocre at the very least, there's going to keep being opportunities for Jameson Battle. And the reason why Jameson Battle got into the NBA was because he beat a guy out for a two-way, and then he beat a guy out for a full contract, and now he's trying to beat out guys for like a rotation spot, and he
Yep.
beats them out. You know why? Because he doesn't fucking miss. It's
No,
a
never.
great quality to have, man. Shout out to Jameson Battle. Any expectations or predictions or well wishes before we get out of here?
Again, prayers to everyone in Jamaica and their families. I'm predicting a Raptors win by 5, and I'm gonna say we get a 35 from Brandon Ingram today.
Wow. Torian Prince doesn't have it for him. Bobby
He
Portis,
doesn't got the
no.
gusto.
AJ Green. Are we going back to the well of the pinch post on AJ Green? I
For
wonder.
3 possessions, I was like, "Oh, we're about to cook." And
He
then they
he had
couldn't score.
he had the one, and it was like, ooh, it was pretty
Mhm.
nice. Yep.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
tough.
listen, if they're 4-4 and just beat the 5-2 Bucks, pants are off, man.
Yeah.
I'm I'm ready to the Thursday episode. There's gonna be some sauce on it. It's gonna be a spicy episode. We're
Yes,
back.
sir.
We're so back. Yeah, thank you to everybody for listening from myself and Trey. Once again, we are very popular, but we want to be even more so. Make sure to like,
Please.
comment, subscribe, hype. It helps out the channel. It helps out everybody at Raptors Public. A full a full group of people who all work and love this. And I've seen, like, in my mind, to shout out S, his recaps, I don't know how he does it for every game, but as long as he has the
Him.
stamina to do that, that to me is the future of React pods. And of course, it's not very pro worker because it requires a shit ton more work. But that guy's a workaholic, so I guess it's on the table for him. His recaps are incredibly well done, especially for somebody who's just like, man, I get film, I get commentary, I get context, all in 15, 20 minutes. Big shout out to S. A lot of the written work at the website has been great. This podcast is obviously doing very well. We think it's the best. Thank you to everybody for tagging in with us, whether you got into this in the morning or at night. From myself and Trevon, have a blessed day and goodbye.